Alright, ladies and gentlemen, good morning everybody. Here an explanation about exercise 2. We need to work with a factor. In this case it is a factor 1.05. And it goes about cell root forest, and they had 60,000 cubic meters of root in 1 January 2011. Each year the amount of the root increase, so increase means it's getting more, by a factor of 1,05, and a factor is just a multiplication number, and round to the nearest 100 in the exercises. So the nearest 100 means that the last two numbers needs to be zeros. Alright, let me just have a look at the first one. They ask you how many cubic meters of root will there be on 1 January 2016, which means from 2011, that's 5 years further. So if we're gonna look at exercise A, we're gonna start with the 60,000 cubic meters, and if I multiply this number with 1,05, then we know how many it is 1 year later, so in 1 January 2012. But we want to know in 2016. So this is 2012, multiply it again with 0,5 is 2013, again is 2014, this is 2015, and then multiplied again is 2016, 5 years later. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what you also you can also rewrite this, of course, in 1,05 and then to the power of 5. Yeah, so 60,000 times 1,05 to the power of 5. Now the answer is 76,576, rounded to decimal places 89. But the question was to round at the nearest 100. So the last two numbers need to be 0. So we're gonna look at this number, that's a 7, which means that it is 76,600 cubic meters. Do not forget the unit, but that's the answer from exercise A. But then the first part, because they even want to know what was it on 1 January 2070. Alright, so that's 6 years later. So 60,000 multiplied with 1,05 and then to the power of 6. And there's the answer, 80,405,74, rounded in two decimal places, but we need to get it in the nearest 100. So again, the last two numbers need to be zeros. I'm gonna check which number this is. That's a 0, so it is 80,400 cubic meters. Alright, so that's exercise A. In exercise B, they ask you how much wood will grow in 2018. So what we need to know is how many cubic meters was it in the beginning of 2018, in 1 January 2018, and how much is it in 1 January in 2019. Because if I know those two numbers and if I subtract them, then we know how much wood it grows in 2018. So I'm gonna use the 60,000 multiplied with 1,05 again, and then to the power of 7. Now why 7? Because then I know it from 1 January 2018. And that will be 84,426,03 rounded into decimal places. We do exactly the same 1 year later, so 1,05 to the power of 8, and that's 88,647 33 cubic meters, and we're gonna subtract those two numbers. So 88,647,33 minus 84,426,03 is equal to 4,221,3, but we need to round in 100, so the last two numbers need to be 0, so it's 4,200 cubic meters. And that's the answer from exercise B. Alright, now the last exercise. The Forestry Commission had considered cutting down part of the woods if there are more than 100,000 cubic meters of wood. Will they cut before or after 1 January 2021? And you always need to say why it is before or why it needs to be after 1 January 2021. So 1 January 2001 is 10 years later from 1 January 2011, which means that I need to use the 60,000 multiplied with 1,05 and then to the power of 10 to look which answer that is. And that will be 97,733,68 cubic meters. So on 1 January 2011, 1 January 2021, I mean, it is not yet 100,000 cubic meters. It's less than 100,000 meters, which means that they do not need to cut on 1 January 2021, but after 1 January 2021. Yeah. So conclusion. They need to cut the woods after, very important, after 1 January 2021, because that was the only question. So very important with those kind of questions, you need to get a calculation, and then of course do not forget your conclusions. And that's exercise 2 from the combined exercises on page number 126. So good luck with the rest of the exercises.